Good evening. It is Wednesday, September 11th, 2024, 5:45 p.m. I'd like to call to order the Board of Commissioners' special meeting. City Clerk, would you call the roll?
Mayor Brooks,
Here.
Vice Mayor Taglerini,
Here.
Commissioner Kerr,
Here.
Commissioner McGinn,
Here.
Bayou,
Here.
all are present.
Public comment. Public participation is encouraged. If you are addressing the commission, step to the podium and state your name and address for the record and the organization or group you represent. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes and do not include any topic on the agenda. Public comment on agenda items will be allowed when they come up. If you would like someone at the city to follow up on a comment or question made at the meeting, you may fill out a comment card with the contact information and give it to the city manager. Comment cards are available at the back table in the commission chambers. Completing a comment card is not mandatory. Do we have any public comment? Oh, no, probably the next one. Thank you.
This is the
very-
meeting for the budget.
With no public comment, ordinance 2024-19, FY 2025 tentative millage rate ordinance, first reading and public hearing. I will hand this over to the city attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to read this ordinance in its entirety. Ordinance 2024-19, an ordinance of the City of Madeira Beach, Florida, establishing the tentative millage rate for the fiscal year 2025, providing and announcing the name of the taxing authority, the rollback millage rate, the percentage increase over the rollback millage rate, and the millage rate to be levied, and providing for an effective date. Whereas Florida Statute Section 200.065 requires the adoption of the millage rate by separate vote and prior to the adoption of the budget. And whereas Florida Statute Section 200.065 requires that prior to the adoption of the millage levy ordinance, the following be publicly announced: the name of the taxing authority, the rollback millage rate, the percentage increase over the rollback millage rate, and the millage rate to be levied. And whereas in no event may the millage rate adopted exceed the millage rate tentatively adopted, now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Commissioners of the City of Madeira Beach, Florida, that, Section 1, the name of the taxing authority is the City of Madeira Beach. Section 2, the rollback millage rate for fiscal year 2025 is 2.5300 per $1,000. Section 3, the fiscal year 2025 proposed millage rate is 8.70% higher than the rollback rate. Section 4, the millage rate to be levied for the fiscal year 2025 shall be 2.7500 per $1,000. Section 5, that this ordinance shall become effective immediately upon its adoption. That was a reading of ordinance 2024-19 in its entirety.
We've already had 5 budget workshops on this, so I have nothing additional to add at this point. But if there's anything you all would like to discuss with me, happy to do so. Otherwise, look forward to your vote.
Do we have any public comment? With no public comment, commissioners?
I have a question. Under section 3, it says, it says that the proposed millage shall be enforced 2025. But section 5, it says immediately. So what do we?
The section 5, the ordinance shall become effective immediately upon its adoption. The ordinance has to have 2 readings and 2 public hearings. It is not adopted until after the second reading and the second vote by the commission.
Okay, thank you.
But the second vote, excuse me, will take place on Monday, September the 30th.
Any additional comments?
My only comment is regarding the operating budget and the graphs over the years. I just want to make sure you schedule some time after all this is budget meetings are gone and done, finished, because we have one more, I think, to accept the final reading of the budget. I don't want to wait until next year to start looking at the operating budget over the years and where we are and where we're going. So I just want to get you on the schedule, remind you of that.
Sounds good.
With no additional comments, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance 2024-19 fiscal 2025 tentative millage rate ordinance.
Do we have a
Second.
second? City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Kerr,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Taglerini,
Yes.
Commissioner McGinn,
Yes.
Commissioner Gabay,
Yes.
Mayor Brooks.
Yes.
The motion carried 5-0.
Next on the agenda is ordinance 2024-20 FY 2025 tentative budget ordinance, first reading and public hearing. And I will hand this over to the city attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. This is ordinance 2024-20, an ordinance of the city of Madeira Beach, Florida, adopting the tentative budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2024 and ending September 30th, 2025, and providing for an effective date. Whereas Florida Statute Section 166.241 requires the adoption of a budget each fiscal year. And whereas the amount available from taxation and other sources, including balances brought forward from prior years, must equal the total appropriations for expenditures and reserves. And whereas at a minimum, the adopted budget must show for each fund, as required by law and sound financial practices, budgeted revenues and expenditures by organizational unit, which are at least at the level of detail required for the annual financial report required under section 218.32(1). That's of the Florida statutes. Whereas the adopted budget must regulate expenditures of the municipality, and an officer of a municipal government may not expend or contract for expenditures in any fiscal year except as pursuant to the adopted budget. And whereas the city of Madeira Beach tentative fiscal year 2025 budget is balanced, is presented at the level of detail required to file the annual financial report, and shall regulate expenditures of the city for the period beginning October 1, 2024 and ending September 30th, 2025. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Commissioners of the City of Madeira Beach, Florida, that section number 1, the tentative budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2024 and ending September 30th, 2025, attached hereto as Exhibit A, is hereby adopted. Section 2, that this ordinance shall become effective immediately upon its adoption. That was a reading of ordinance 2024-20 in its entirety.
Do we have any public comment? With no public comment, commissioners?
I think we've gone over this quite a bit.
Any additional comments?
I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance 2024-20, adopt the tentative budget for fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2024 and ending September 30th, 2025.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Gabay,
Yes.
Commissioner McGinn,
Yes.
Commissioner Kerr, Vice Mayor Taglerini,
Yes.
Mayor Brooks.
Yes.
The motion carried 5-0.
With nothing further on our agenda, it is 5:53. Meeting is adjourned.